Okay, here I am inside of Lightroom. I'm Marek Mularczyk from scitraining.co.uk, one of the UK's leading specialists in Adobe Certified training. And in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can edit images with Lightroom and Photoshop, and what the differences are when you edit raw images or JPEG images, and what happens with the images you edit in Photoshop. So I've got a couple of images open here inside of Lightroom. Because these three images, there are raw images. Okay, these are all raw images, and let's start with raw. I've also got Photoshop open. Now before I jump into Photoshop, let's have a look at the preferences. If you go to Edit, Preferences, and navigate to External Editing, that's where you can define what file format you want to use when you're editing with Photoshop. Because what's going to happen is Photoshop is going to save the raw image as either PSD or TIFF file. Remember, raw images are what I like to call read-only. You cannot save or overwrite a raw file. So Photoshop will use either TIFF or PSD. I've got it set up to PSD. I'm using ProPhoto RGB color space because it's the best. Okay, and because it preserves more color details, and it's just better. And I'm using 16 bits and the resolution 300. Okay, I'll just press OK. I'm going to select one of the images, for example this one here, and I'm going to open it with Photoshop. So Photo, Edit in Adobe Photoshop CS5. Now you don't have to have Photoshop CS5, you can use it with Photoshop CS4 as well. So it doesn't have to be CS5. Now I've got this image open here, even though it's a CRW, so raw, when I'm going to save it, it will save it as a PSD file. Okay, so let's make some edits here. I'm going to use an adjustments layer, and let's do levels. Okay, let's bring some detail here, more contrast, more light into the image. Looks good. I'm going to click on this left up arrow, and maybe one more. Let's say let's do a quick selection of the sky. So back to the background layer. I'm going to use the quick selection tool. I'll make my brush a bit bigger using the right bracket key on the keyboard. And I'll just quickly select the sky. Now I don't want the chimneys. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I don't want to bore you. Just trying to select the sky. Okay. Looks almost good. Okay, looks good. Maybe one more here. And now I'm going to create an adjustment layer for, let's say, black and white. I'm going to turn the sky black and white. And let's have a look on some presets here. Darker looks okay. High contrast red filter looks great. High contrast red filter. Okay, and I've got the sky in black and white. Now let's close it. Do you want to save it? Yes, I do, and we'll jump back into Lightroom. So Photoshop is saving it now as a Photoshop document, and it's closed the file. If I just minimize Photoshop, jump back into Lightroom, I've got this image here next to the original, and this is the PSD file. So it says CRW _0230 edit.psd. Okay. So now it goes to these images together. I can collapse them. There's a stack, and I've got the CRW image, which is the original raw file, and the PSD version. Now let's see what happens when we work with JPEG images. I'm going to select one of the JPEG images. Let's say maybe this one here. It's a JPEG. I'm going to edit it in Photoshop. But this time, because I'm using a JPEG image, Lightroom will prompt me how do I want to edit it. I want to edit the original, a copy, or a copy with Lightroom adjustments. You may have done some adjustments here in Lightroom, so you may want to keep them and edit a copy with the Lightroom adjustments. Okay. Or the original. Now I did make some changes here, so I'm going to edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments I'll click, and this will stack with original as well. So I'll click edit. Now I'm in Photoshop, and let's see what changes we can make here. I'm just going to make it bigger, and let's do a quick selection as well of the background. Just make my brush a bit smaller. Okay, and here as well. We'll make that black and white as well. Okay, let's leave that, and we'll do a black and white adjustment. We'll turn it black and white. Okay, and we'll close that. You want to save it? Yes. And I'm back to Lightroom, and I've got another version of this image as a PSD file as well, next to the original file. Okay. Now let's see what happens if I want to edit it within Photoshop once again, but this time I'm editing a copy, not the original. So if the copy is selected, I'm going to jump into Photoshop, edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments. That's fine. Okay, edit. So there's the image here. Now let's see what happens when we use other options. I'm going to close it. No, I don't want to save any changes. And I will try to edit again. Photo edit in Photoshop CS5. This I'm going to use original. I'll click edit. And notice a difference. When I selected edit original and jump into Photoshop, Photoshop remembered the adjustment layer I have just created. This is one big difference. If you do edit original, you will see the layers. Remember, this is a PSD file. So this file has layers. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching this tutorial about editing images with Lightroom and Photoshop. I'm Marek Mularczyk from scitrain.co.uk, one of the UK's leading specialists in Adobe Certified training. For more information about the courses, Adobe Certified courses, go to scitrain.co.uk. And thank you for watching. Bye bye.